Hi guys and welcome to another vlog. I am driving this. This is the Toyota Fortuner, and straight away let's open the engine, which is going to be quite an effort because Toyota has done cost cutting. You can't lift it with one hand, but there's insulation right there. Cost cutting in the sense it doesn't get hydraulic struts, something which is present in both the Scorpio and the Safari. Much cheaper cars. Engine bay has a lot of space because there's also a petrol engine. I'm not talking about a 2.7 petrol. There is a 6-cylinder petrol engine on offer globally. Anyways, the design of the car is more Lexus than Toyota, and definitely it's a far departure from the previous generation model of the Fortuner. Just look at it. Look at the chrome treatment on the grille. Massive Toyota logo right there to tell everyone that this is a very reliable car. You don't have to worry about it. And the fog lamps are a bit disappointing because they are not LEDs, they're halogens. But the headlight is an LED, and there is a projector beam. You get these 4 dots here for the LED DRL. Looks really beautiful, and it says bi-beam LED right there as well. So the lights look really nice and slick indeed, and the car has a very imposing stance. Lot of ground clearance on offer. Now this being the 4-wheel drive obviously gets bigger wheels, which happen to be 18 inches compared to the 17 inches on the 2-wheel drive models. Look at the size of the wheels. Yeah, that's massive. Look at the space between the wheel and the tires. That's again significant. 265 60 18 is the size of the tire. 265 60 17 is the size of the tire on the 2-wheel drive model, I believe. And from the side, of course, it's slick, it's nice. Love the silhouette. Love the way that chrome line goes below the window. That also looks very nice and slick as well. And obviously it gets chrome door handles, and there is the request sensor here. There's also a key slot over there somehow. Love the body cladding, love the side footstep as well. Everything just speaks so much about being a macho looking SUV with a massive dose of sexiness and sleekness as well. From the rear again, you get the Fortuner badging in chrome. That looks nice. Toyota logo. In fact, aerodynamic efficiency is improved by these small things which are jutting out, which make the car stick to the ground by around 0.000%. Meanwhile, you've got reflectors below, and you know what? The lights are also LEDs. They look beautiful indeed. And now Toyota is also offering rear fog lamps on this vehicle. Yeah, they made an update recently to the vehicle. You get a rear spoiler which does absolutely nothing to the downforce of the car, and a high mounted stop lamp. There is a shark fin antenna, and that is the roof of the car. I don't think the roof rails are functional. They are super tiny, super small somehow. But Toyota has really worked on the design of this car, which bodes well in terms of making it so much more attractive now. You've got rear parking sensors right there. There is the reverse parking camera. You can see that. Yeah, that is the reverse parking camera. And you obviously get a rear washer wiper as well. Says Sigma 4 because this is a 4-wheel drive. Meanwhile, the spare wheel is actually placed below here. Yeah, that is a spare wheel, which actually happens to be an alloy. And it is a full-size spare wheel as well. That is the suspension and the chassis of the car. Body on frame for the win in terms of cost cutting for sure. Anyways, let's open the boot. Now the good thing is I just need to press a button here. There, I just pressed a button, and actually it's not going to open right now because I have kept the ignition on. Yeah, this is one big issue in this vehicle, that unless and until you've unlocked all the doors don't open. Yeah, now it is unlocked. Now it should open. Here we go. Press a button, makes that sound, and then it opens. It should sense that the key is in my pocket and do it any which ways. So here is the boot of the car. Now the boot isn't big enough with all the rows up, but decent enough to carry some fake bags, if you may. Anyways, so you can easily put the seat up and down. What you have to do, it has to be done manually. So there, the seat is gone. You have to pull this lever, and once you pull it, you can pull this thing up as well. Now here we are. That is how you adjust the seat. Pull it once again there, and you can recline it as well. Now with the 7 seats, you can see there's a lack of space for the boot. Meanwhile, you can recline this, just pull this lever, and okay, this is very easy. Pull this lever and slot it right back up. Now to slot it, everything has to be done manually here. The Ford Endeavour actually gets electric seats. Yeah, electric seats in the sense that you can press a button and you can recline them and put them back as well. That's really cool. The last row is not as low as before, and there is some amount of space here. So yes, you can be a bit comfortable in the last row as well. There's a hook. There's obviously a 12-volt charging socket as well, just in case you want to take a fridge. And here is another hook as well. Now the seats are best for children, but adults who are not very tall can also fit in here. Not really for longer journeys, but they've given proper seat belts in the last row as well, which is really very cool indeed. Anyways, the good thing here is press a button and there. Yes, the tailgate is electric on the vehicle, which is again a very nice touch. I believe the new generation of the Mahindra XUV 500 will also get this feature at the pace which Mahindra is offering features like even a sunroof, which shockingly is missing on the Fortuner. Yeah, Toyota doesn't do sunroofs, I don't know why. I think the Camry is the only car which gets one. Coming to the rear, first and foremost, to get into the last row is easy because you just have to pull this, yeah, and it tumbles effortlessly. Now this seat is ahead, you know why? Because Neha was sitting there. I don't know, she sits like Andrew the Giant. She needs all the freaking space on earth. Why do you need so much space? Yeah, let's pull this ahead. It's actually effortless to pull the seat ahead and behind, but you know, we'll just put it in normal position right now. So you have to do it manually right now. However, Toyota has upgraded the car. Now this seat is actually electrically adjustable. Yeah, that's right. Now you get a cup holder here and you've got twin glove boxes. So this is a lockable glove box. It's not really big in terms of size. It says Fortuner right there just in case you forget which car you're driving. Now this happens to be a cooled glove box. Yeah, it gets the cooling function. That's again cool, but it's very slim as such. A lot of leather used everywhere. That's again pretty cool on this vehicle. Anyways, I was tumbling the seat. Now it won't tumble because I pressed the button once. Now I have to push it. So we put it back into place once and then we'll try and tumble it. There it tumbles. That's how easy it is. Once I get inside, I have already got inside a million times. So I must tell you that there's not much space on offer. It's not really a very comfortable space to be in, and there is actually storage space on both the sides actually. Anyways, that's less relevant. Let's put this seat back. So 60-40 split seat. Now you can obviously increase the recline angle, which becomes such a task with one hand somehow. So I'm just going to try and push it. Here we go. So the seat is reclined all the way, and obviously it gets a good recline angle as well. There's good amount of space on offer, and if you want to increase the space at the rear, you can actually move this front and behind. So yes, it also moves, which means that you can decide if you want more space somehow. Now there is a glitch here, which is an ergonomic disaster, but getting inside is as easy as just climbing in. The floor is almost, I would say almost, I didn't say it's complete, it's almost flat here. And here you see there is more than adequate legroom on offer, good amount of knee room on offer, and under thigh support is also decent in this vehicle. Headroom isn't an issue either. So you can see my hair is almost touching, but then I am actually Andrew the Giant, not Neha. Meanwhile, here's a hook handle, air vents on the top, AC vents actually, which is the case in the last row as well. Yeah, there is where the air vents are on the vehicle, on the top in the last row as well. Now can you see this? Yeah, that is the seat belt for the middle passenger, which means the Toyota has given seat belts properly for all passengers. There's actually storage space here along with a 12-volt charging socket. So in all the rows there's a 12-volt charging socket, and there's also a hook here just in case you want to hang your grocery bag, just like an Activa. Meanwhile, the seats are actually quite comfortable. There's good amount of backrest on offer as well, and I definitely give the seats a big thumbs up. There's a hook, there's a handle, AC vents here, and it gets a dual zone climate control, one for the front and the other for the rear. So you can actually adjust the fan speed from here. Yeah, and you can also put it on auto if you so want, and you can turn it off as well. This is obviously the light, but the good thing here is that there's good amount of space on offer, and the windows are also large enough so you don't feel claustrophobic on the inside. There's a lot of leather in this car. Somehow Toyota has really gone ahead with a lot of leather. Like, the seats are super comfortable, of course, but 3 people can actually sit inside the car without any issue. Now that is the dashboard. What Toyota has actually done is made the seats slimmer so that there's more space, and they've also made the dashboard super slim so that there is good amount of space on offer there as well. Again, like I was showing you, there is good amount of space in the rear of the Fortuner, but the Ford Endeavour just has slightly more. Obviously it has a longer wheelbase as well, and that doesn't matter actually. Let's get inside. So there is a handle here to climb in because it's quite a climb. 8-way adjust for the driver's seat. Yeah, 8-way power adjust for the driver's seat, and you see the door pockets are decent size, not really big as such. A lot of leather here as well. Controls for the power windows. These are the controls for the outside rear view mirrors. There's the tweeter of the vehicle, and there is a glass holder here, so you can keep your drinks here and cool them as well. There's a proper dead pedal down there, which is actually very nice. This is to open the hood, this is to open the fuel, and this is to turn off the power door, which is for the tailgate. This is to open the tailgate, and this is to turn on and off the parking sensors of this vehicle. Disappointingly, it doesn't get front parking sensors, it doesn't get a sunroof, and yeah, it does miss out on a lot of things which you would expect at this price point from a Toyota car. So first and foremost, I'm going to press this button to turn on the vehicle, and there it roars to life. Meanwhile, let's turn off the air conditioning. There, obviously it says Toyota to remind you you're in a Toyota, you're not in any other car, and then you have to accept that, yeah, you take the risk of being inside this car. Front seats also very comfortable and very nice. Meanwhile, the only disappointing part is the dashboard doesn't look meaty enough. It's a little on the smaller side. And the other disappointing fact for me personally is that the quality of materials isn't that good. Okay, this leather treatment and all is very nice and brilliant as well. But overall plastics, like super hard plastic. As you go lower, you realize Toyota has gone ahead and gone bonkers in doing cost cutting on this vehicle. That's just not acceptable. I mean, the cabin does feel cheap in terms of the quality of material somehow. Steering feels nice to hold. You get this silver treatment. You get this silver treatment here as well. Now this is the tan leather treatment here on the seats as well, on the dashboard also, this blackened color one. But now they've also got some beige colored, slightly darker beige colored treatment. So you have the option of choosing either one of those. There's a clock here. This is actually the hazard light switch, and there is wood on the steering wheel as well. Now these are actually the controls for the audio system. Yeah, these are the controls for the audio system along with the voice commands. This is to pick up or decline a call, vice versa, whatever. These are actually the controls for the multi-information display. Now this screen, or rather the instrument cluster, is known as the Optitron meter. It's very nice. It's brilliant. I love the chrome treatment, which gives it a premium feel. And obviously you've got the multi-information display in the center. You can browse through a lot of information. It gets a compass as well. Yeah, compass doesn't rival this car, but it does get a compass somehow. Get into the settings, you can see a lot of information like eco indicator. Eco indicator has been stressed so much that you get an eco score as well, which tells you how you have performed. I failed the eco score, unfortunately. I got 3 KTs in eco score exam, unfortunately and sadly. Anyways, see, a lot of information on offer here. All the basics you would get here. You can also get car messages and audio as well. Love the speedometer. It's really nicely done. There is the fuel meter inside. This is the tachometer, and there's a temperature meter inside. There are paddle shifters on offer here as well, but the horn is so disappointing. It feels like the car and the horn don't belong to the same person. And these are the controls for the lights. It gets automatic headlights. It also gets wipers. It also gets really nice wipers. See, good amount of spray on offer too. Meanwhile, this is not an auto dimming inside rear view mirror, but Toyota has now updated the mirror. It gets an electrochromatic inside rear view mirror, which gets the auto dimming function. Meanwhile, there's a sunglass holder right there. There are plenty of lights here, and these are actually LEDs. So yes, that's also quite functional. Here you get a mirror along with a light. Same is the case there as well. You get a mirror along with a light. Meanwhile, the center console is nice and wide. There is storage space here for actually the key of the vehicle. There's storage space below the front center armrest, and there's storage space here as well. Actually, there are twin cup holders, but there's storage space behind too. So Toyota is giving good amount of space in the cabin. Meanwhile, this is the eco mode, this is the power mode, this is the mode selector. Actually, there's only one USB inside this car, which is kind of shocking in 2020. There is a power socket here, and this is the traction control button. This is for downhill assist, and this is the mode selector. Okay, now in 4 high, now in 4 low, so you can just shift on the fly. Meanwhile, these are controls for the air conditioning. You have to activate this for rear air conditioning, then only rear air conditioning works. And this is the 7-inch screen of the Toyota Fortuner. Now this screen is nice and slick. In fact, it's also very fast with connecting to a phone. So smartphone connectivity is great, but unfortunately it doesn't get Apple CarPlay or Android Auto connectivity. Let's get into reverse right away. This is the reverse parking camera. It gets guidelines. The guidelines are not adaptive. Let's get out of reverse and let me show you how this menu is actually quite slick to use. So you also got something known as Eco, which tells you various parameters about you, how you've been driving. I'm telling you now, Eco is like extremely important for a Fortuner because it is a heavy car and it does have a habit of drinking fuel. So you're just going to listen to some audio right away. The disappointing part here is that there is no physical control. You need physical controls for the volume, otherwise it's not that easy to adjust. It gets 7 airbags, that's plenty. It gets cruise control as well. Yeah, this is actually for the cruise control. So the car is loaded with a lot of features, yet it misses out on a lot of features you would expect at this price point. The Fortuner also gets navigation, which for reasons best known to Toyota or this car, it's not working at the moment. Meanwhile, there's also puddle lamps. Yeah, the puddle lamps work at night. But the door pockets are slim. They slimmed everything. The car has gone to the gym, yet it's become heavier somehow. So I think it's gone on a bulk up regime or a diet. Anyways, what I love of the car is whenever you turn it on or off, it really greets you. So here we've turned off the car to get out. Yeah, no, it doesn't greet you when you go out. And here, when we turn on the car, you see the silhouette comes of the Fortuner right in the multi-information display in the center. That is super cool, and it says Fortuner. So Toyota's left no stone unturned to tell you that, you know what? You are in a Fortuner, not in an Endeavour. Talking about the Endeavour, the audio quality of the Fortuner isn't as good. So how do you like the Fortuner, Neha?
It's a wheel spin monster.
I taught you how to wheel spin,
Yeah,
obviously.
right.
Anyways, you know, all the windows of the car, power windows, are auto up and down. Well, at this price point, they should be. At this price point, they should also tint somehow. Let's experience the rear wiper washer on the Fortuner. So there is a lot of spray which is coming out from here as well. But as much as Toyota's thought about little things, they have actually forgotten to think about certain things. Like for instance, something fell down. Like for instance, the way the door pockets have been done is fine. You can actually use them when you open the door. But But the problem is that if I sit inside, okay, now I'm inside the car. Now I close the door. Now to access it, I can't access it like this. I have to access it from ahead, and it's not so smooth to remove. So that is sort of an, okay, how do I put it back in? That's sort of an ergonomic disaster. Meanwhile, the center armrest, yeah, it also gets cup holders. Press this button. Yes, press this button, and there the cup holders come out as well. Anyways, Neha, I told you to buy a Fortuner and not the Duster, and look at you.
I'm happy with my Duster.
Yeah. Can you use your Duster to clean this board right now? And on that, PJ, it's time to end. Bye-bye. So we are attempting to do a vlog, but nothing can be seen at all. Can you see this Innova? Okay, shut the roll. Alright, we're all set to go. We've got a full house here right now. Yeah. The whole Motorbeam crew is inside. Gandhar, F2, Zubair, you might not be able to see. I'll make sure you see him in the rearview mirror when he sleeps and dozes off. And this is Dhanil. So, first and foremost, air conditioning off. Sorry guys, you have to bear with me for some time. And we get into power mode. Traction control off. Yes, that's about it. And left foot on the brake, right foot on the accelerator, revving the motor, rev still 2000 rpm, some wheel spin, and off we go. So the Fortuner is actually powered by, why is this guy driving from one lane to another? Anyways, the Fortuner is actually powered by a 2.8 litre diesel engine, but there's also a 2.7 litre petrol motor on offer, and that petrol engine nobody buys at all, so we're not going to discuss about it. It actually makes lesser power and torque compared to the diesel. We have one sole diesel engine on offer, which happens to be a 2.8 litre unit, 4-cylinder, produces 174 horsepower and 420 Newton meters of torque. In the manual. In the automatic, you've got an additional 30 Newton meters of torque, because I believe it needs 30 Newton meters just to operate this automatic gearbox. Well, that doesn't make sense, but 450 Newton meters of torque. The result is it goes from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 12 seconds, which is actually half a second quicker than the new Ford Endeavour, which gets a single turbo engine with lesser power and torque compared to this car. Now, performance is really very slick. In power mode, you can feel the added oomph on offer. In fact, the grunt is so much from this motor that it pulls relentlessly. Low end lag, well, what's that? There's good amount of thrust lower down, turbo lag is well contained, and even the mid-range is strong. But the motor gets very vocal somehow. You can hear a lot of it inside the cabin, especially once you get past the mid-range. 3,500 RPM is where the sweet spot is. Beyond that, it's pointless to rev this motor because it just gets so loud and boomy. Taking you to where exactly this engine comes from, well, pickup trucks. In fact, the platform also comes from pickup truck, the Hilux. Now this car is based on the new generation of the Hilux. Now this is the second generation of the Fortuner. It has been stiffened up further, and the overall balance to the corners is fab. Just look at it. I mean, obviously there's a lot of roll, and to my benefit today we have got a full house here, which means that on a body on frame platform car with a lot more weight inside, it just performs so much better. But as soon as you cross 3000 RPM, it gets super vocal, upshifts at around 4000 RPM. Now there's also manual on offer, which is a 6-speed manual. In that, the interesting bit is that there's something known as IMT. What IMT does is when you have to actually activate IMT, it rev matches. It's like a slipper clutch for a diesel car. Yeah. So no, it's also there in the petrol actually. It's like a slipper clutch for a manual car. Anyways, right in front we've got a rival to the Fortuner, the Alturas G4. The punch is really very nice on the motor. There is so much grunt on offer. Every time you get onto the throttle, it wants to go ahead. That's largely because peak torque comes in at 1600 RPM and stays flat till 2400 RPM. Around the corners, it's a surprise package. It's not like the old generation Fortuner, which felt kind of hairy. This one does not. It feels really composed somehow, and there's a massive reason for the same. We'll come to that in a bit. let's focus on the engine for a bit. Now in India, we've only got one diesel and one petrol on offer. The 2.7 litre petrol, absolutely nobody buys at all. Well, it's actually quite smooth. It's definitely more refined than this one, but to extract the best, you have to rev it past 5000 RPM. That's madness, such a heavy, bulky car, you're revving it all the way. But the bigger problem is the fuel efficiency of this car, which happens to be, for the petrol, happens to be between 5 to 7 kilometers per litre. You just can't take it off-road. Toyota also knows it. That's why they don't even offer a 4x4 variant of the same. Although the tank capacity is large enough at 80 litres. The diesel obviously is more frugal, should return somewhere around 9 to 10 kilometers per litre, which is respectable considering the size and the weight of the car. The weight of the car has actually gone up by 200 kgs, yet it's still lighter than the Ford Endeavour, and it is heavier than the Innova by 300 kgs. And that's the reason why the same 2.8 litre engine, which is also offered in the Innova, well, gets 3 horsepower lesser. In fact, there's an increase of 3 horsepower and 60 Newton meters when you compare the automatic Innova 2.8 with the automatic Fortuner 2.8, because there's no manual in the Innova. Now in stop-go traffic, driving in power mode is pointless because it just feels too eager. There are 3 driving modes on offer. There's eco, there's regular, and there is power, which obviously alters the maps on offer. It feels so much more eager in power mode. In fact, in normal mode also, it's super eager. It lunges ahead every given moment, and the car actually feels light to drive somehow. So I was telling you that Toyota has actually differentiated the power and torque compared to the engines on offer between the Innova and the Fortuner. The same 2.7 petrol produces the identical power and torque output in both the cars, but for the diesel, like I was telling you, 3 horsepower more and 60 Newton meters more, or 30 Newton meters more if you compare it with the manual Fortuner. As you see, performance is something you will never complain about because there's more than ample grunt. But Toyota actually sells the Fortuner with a 2.4 litre engine abroad. They also have a 3 litre CRDI engine, and there's also a 3 litre naturally aspirated engine which produces a measly 95 horsepower. My cycle makes more power than that. I don't even have a cycle, can you believe that? And even if I had one, it wouldn't have an engine and it still would have more power. That 95 horsepower makes no sense whatsoever in a car which weighs more than 2.2 tons. This is a heavy car, but it doesn't feel its weight at all in any way whatsoever. It feels really light and nimble somehow. The only thing you'll realize in the city is that the steering is obnoxiously heavy, and that's primarily because this one uses a hydraulic steering wheel. Yeah, so hydraulic steering wheel is extremely heavy at lower speeds, but it does weigh up brilliantly at higher speeds. What Toyota has done is they've given it a very stiff suspension setup. Yeah, they have stiffened up the car. The suspension is also on the stiffer side, which means that low speed ride is a big issue. Because if you try to drive a little fast over bad roads, you can feel a lot inside the cabin. Now, because this is a body-on-frame vehicle, there's that constant movement which is happening, which you can feel underneath all given moments. But to the advantage is, the stiff suspension actually helps its cause at higher speeds, because when you're driving the car on the highway, it flattens out the ride beautifully well. It performs brilliantly on bad roads, especially when you up the pace of this vehicle, and that's something which makes the Fortuner a very confident car around the twisties, even at high speeds. Yes, there's a lot of body roll, and oh my god, I can't unsee this. I freaking can't unsee this. That Alturas up ahead has an AMG thing hanging out from below. That's a AMG, I think, keychain sort of a thingy. We have it on a project car, but that's a Motorbeam one. That is an AMG. Yeah, I know Mercedes provides the gearbox on that car, but that doesn't give you the right to put an AMG thing hanging from the bumper. It's not really going to increase the performance, or who knows, it might as well. And talking about increasing performance, well, Toyota also has a variant called the TRD. It's a limited edition variant. It means Toyota Racing Development. In India, it has nothing other than cosmetic tweaks. However, globally, it also gets TRD rated suspension along with bigger brake rotors, rather bigger brake discs, just improving the braking performance as well as handling of the vehicle. But putting a TRD on an SUV is like putting an airbag in the boot of a sedan. It's absolutely pointless and useless. Why would you do that in the first place? Now, this car uses a 6-speed torque converter gearbox, which is smooth but not the fastest with shifts. To tell you the perspective of how slow the shifts are, every time you try to do a manual shift, it takes at least 500 RPM more if you're on the throttle for the gear shift to actually happen. And there's obviously the sport mode. You pull it towards yourself and it is in sport mode, but it shows S4. Now, what does S4 mean? It means that it's going to limit the top gear to 4th gear. It's not going to go beyond 4th gear. So I can just decide to limit what I want the top gear to be. Now I've limited to 5th gear. It is not going to go beyond 5th gear. So that is how it actually works. It's not that the gearbox is in 5th gear right now. It's just how Toyota makes it work in all their cars, even including Lexus as well. So here we are on the gas. I know that's an absurd way of doing a sport mode on a vehicle, and economy mode is best used if you are getting chauffeur driven, otherwise it just bogs down the vehicle dramatically. Now the Hilux platform is indestructible, right? Obviously it is. And what about a Fortuner review without mentioning the Ford Endeavour? So we're going to get that into the picture as well. The Endeavour now has lost its charm because Ford has cut costs and given us a single turbo engine, whereas they could have given us a twin turbo with more power and torque compared to its rivals. The Fortuner actually has more power and torque than the Endeavour now, which really bodes well in terms of performance for this vehicle. You don't feel the heavy weight of this car. Only thing is the ride could have been dramatically better. Body roll is in abundance. Handling is good, not great. And this isn't the car you would like to push around corners. This is a car which actually gives you the feel of driving something robust because it's a Toyota. It has to be indestructible as well. Now the brakes are also very sure-footed. Pedal bite is also positive, and overall braking performance is really nice on this vehicle as well. So here on the gas, the good thing I like is that Toyota has actually given it paddle shifters as well. So you can manually take control of things, and there you see it becomes super duper vocal. It will not upshift unless and until I do so. 4,500 RPM is the red line, which is pointless actually, because once you get into the top end, there is no thrust, there's only noise, all sound, no go at all. But in-gear acceleration is very, 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 very sweet. But every time you use manual mode, you're like, why did I even decide to do so? It takes its own sweet time. Sometimes I think that the command is actually going to Japan for an approval for a gear shift. That is how delayed it is. But Toyota owners won't care a jack about it anyways. Oh, you vocal Toyota engine. Anyways, the most important thing about the Fortuner is the Endeavour actually. So like I told you, the engine on the Fortuner is now more powerful. But what about off-road capability? Now this is a long discussed matter because Toyota has cut costs in terms of hardware. Yeah, globally they actually offer a rear differential, a rear locking diff. But in India, they haven't done so. So which car is better off the road? Now Toyota is Toyota and very smart company in that sense. They have given it active traction control. Okay, what does active traction control do? It can sense the amount of traction on every individual wheel and channel power to the wheel which has more traction. So basically it's extremely smart, but then it also misses out on the terrain response modes which are offered by the Ford Endeavour, which is like an electronic traction control system. However, Toyota has given this car a virtual limited slip differential. What it basically does is ensures that it can brake on individual wheels. Now how does that help? It actually curtails the wheel spin on offer. Off the road, this car actually performs better than the Ford Endeavour, which is unbelievable. How does that even happen? Well, what these guys have done, the guys at Toyota, they've been very smart. First and foremost, like all these systems work beautifully well. The traction control system is amazing. Okay, I have driven this car extensively off-road over various challenges as well, and the way the active traction control is able to channel power to the wheels is unbelievable. The traction control system is 5x better than of any other car available at this price point, and that really helps its cause off the road. Little bit of wheel spin and off we go. So what really helps the Fortuner over the Endeavour off-road is the fact that firstly the engine is extremely punchy, which means that you need that grunt, and the Fortuner has that. The Endeavour doesn't have the same level of grunt lower down as the Fortuner. Advantage Fortuner. Secondly, the wheelbase is shorter than the Endeavour, which means that over breakover angles the Fortuner performs better. Advantage Fortuner. And third and most important thing is the suspension of the Endeavour is on the softer side. This is on the stiffer side, which does not bode well in terms of low speed ride, but out on off-road situations it works much better than the Endeavour because the car does not bob around. Again, advantage Fortuner. Now the advantage of a rear locking differential is a big one, but because of the electronics of the Fortuner, it is performing on par with the Endeavour off the road, which is just brilliant. Now this car is obviously indestructible as well. It's a Toyota at the end of the day, but I have to embarrass myself and say this in front of all my colleagues. I actually lied and I misjudged something dramatically poorly as well. The fact that I said in the Harrier Dark Edition video is that anything in India can sell if it has a sunroof. Well, it's not really true because this car does not have a sunroof. A Toyota can sell without a sunroof. A Toyota can sell without an engine. Well, I would have said that if the Etios wasn't launched, but that's not true. The Fortuner is a brilliant car. It's terrifically refined lower down. It gets very vocal. It gives you the feel, but most importantly, it is bulletproof. It is supremely durable. It is built like a tank. It will go on and on and on and on. And you know what? Toyota is the biggest car maker in the world. Toyota has the most offices in the world, the biggest plants in the world. Heck, Toyota even has the most toilets in its corporate offices. You can't beat Toyota. You just cannot beat Toyota. Toyota is a mammoth in that sense. It knows its shit. It knows what it's making, and the Fortuner is testimony to that fact. But here's the catch, the Endeavour just feels so much more value for money because the Fortuner is overpriced in India. Toyota is enjoying the premium, obviously. The Endeavour actually does not compete with the Fortuner in global markets. Obviously, these cars are only sold in Southeast Asian countries. In Australia, the Endeavour is known as the Everest and it competes with the Prado. But in India, it actually competes with the Fortuner. So that is a sad reality. But if you're looking for a VFM vehicle, yes, the Endeavour is better. The Endeavour is obviously better in terms of refinement. That is some wheel spin now. Obviously, I induced it by not letting off the brake pedal completely. Anyways, I was telling you about the Endeavour. The Endeavour feels better in various regards. It has got more features on offer. It definitely has a better ride as well. But yeah, it is also more VFM. But the Fortuner is just having such a massive brand image. Rather, Toyota has such a massive brand image that people can trust Toyota. They know if they buy a Fortuner, they will be able to sell it at a great price. The car will never give them any issue, and Toyota is here to stay. Toyota is never going to disappear because it's one of the biggest car makers in the world. And that is the reason why the Fortuner outsells every other car in the segment. Now, to give you a perspective, when Toyota launched the first generation of the Fortuner in India in 2009, the size of the segment was around 800 to 1000 units, which was, I think, 5-7 SUVs were fighting for that space. When Toyota launched the car, the Fortuner outsold all of its rivals. Forget outselling. The Fortuner alone sold more than all of its rivals combined. Well, that is the power of the Toyota badge. Unbelievable, right? Absolutely unbelievable. And the first generation of the Fortuner wasn't that great, but this one, oh my god, what a big leap in almost every department. It just feels so better in every aspect. It doesn't feel nervous at all. It feels better to drive as well. And Toyota has... And Toyota has done the smart thing by compromising on a sunroof but giving us paddle shifters. I would pick paddle shifters any day over a sunroof. Well, at least that's useful all the given time. Okay, this is another interesting bit about the gearbox. When you want to downshift now, it will not downshift. If it cannot downshift, if the revs are... Okay, it's gone into manual mode. If the revs happen to be too high, it will not downshift, obviously. But it will also beep and tell you, boss, this is not allowed. What are you doing? This is illegal. So that's another... Okay, here. No. That's what the beep says. So, we were talking about the Endeavour. Yeah, the Endeavour is actually a better car in various aspects. However, Toyota's fan following is so strong that Toyota fanboys are like, Ford बुलाते हैं लेकिन जाने का नहीं. Anyways, there are 6 variants of the Fortuner on offer, and it's a very simple lineup. Okay, there's actually just one variant, technically speaking, one trim level, but petrol is available in 2 variants. One is the manual, the other is the automatic in 4x2 only. There's no 4x4 in petrol. Like I told you, if you go off-road, you won't be able to come back because it will run out of fuel. And plus, resale value is really bad as well because nobody wants to buy a petrol-powered, gas-guzzling SUV. That's why I've not even seen a single one of the petrol Fortuners on the road yet. Not even in the showroom, not even at the plant. But I've not been at the plant either. Coming to the diesel, there are 4 variants on offer, and again there's a combination of 4x2 and 4x4. So 4x2 is available in both manual and automatic, and 4x4 is also available in both manual and automatic. The car we're driving right now is the top of the line, which is priced at 42.5 lakhs on road Mumbai. Meanwhile, the range actually starts at rupees 35 lakhs for the petrol, and the diesel range starts at rupees 38 lakhs. Now all the prices here are obviously on road Mumbai. The price is on the higher side for the level of equipment on offer. But put that aside, you're buying a car which has terrific resale, low maintenance, and is absolutely rugged as well. It's going to last without a doubt, without any problem whatsoever. That is the beauty of this car. And that is the sound of this car. And that is the scolding from the car. It's like, saying, nahi, abhi karo intezar.
Jumping a speed breaker.
Not yet. Now, other than the obvious off-road electronics this car has, it has also got a slew of other electronics like vehicle stability control, traction control system, which is obviously the active traction control, also known as ACTRAC. And it's also got hill ascent control, which basically assists in downhill and uphill driving. Yeah, just makes it more convenient somehow. but over bad roads now you can feel the jiggliness. In fact, ride quality can become very bad if you drive it fast over bad roads. But we're done with the ride, we're done with almost everything. So how do we actually sum up this car? Before that, I want to tell you something. Toyota is a very smart company. Okay, what they do is, when the Fortuner was being launched, I think around 2016, they discontinued the old Fortuner, and there was a lot of demand for the Fortuner. So the new one had a big waiting period even before it was launched. People obviously loved the new model, the new Fortuner, because of the design. So Toyota started delivering the car and they launched it at an introductory pricing, which created a rush for everybody to go and buy one immediately. Now, then the new year came. Obviously, price hike announcement. Again, people rushed to buy it. Then even after the price got hiked, so many of them were on the road that people wanted to buy it more. Then after some time, obviously demand dips because initial honeymoon period is over. They launched the TRD. What is TRD? Like I already told you, it only gets minute cosmetic changes. Costs rupees 2 lakhs more. Absolutely doesn't make sense whatsoever. In fact, a sporty looking SUV doesn't make much sense at all, especially when it already looks so sporty because of the Lexus inspired design language. TRD can be Toyota ruined design for me. Anyways, you see, they get TRD, limited edition stock. Again, people rush to buy. So you're getting the whole point, how they're always pushing the demand for the Fortuner up. Chronology samjhiye, how Toyota is so smart to ensure that the Fortuner is always in the limelight, not just launching new variants. The variants remain more or less the same. I mean, there's just one trim level. Whichever Fortuner you buy, you're going to get all these features and miss out on all the features which it doesn't have as well. And that TRD is launched every year as well. Now, of course, the BS6 version of the Fortuner is going to be launched soon, and the facelift is already under testing, which again will get features on par with the Ford Endeavour, thereby really boosting the Fortuner's appeal as well as the pricing. But you think anyone cares? Because at a point of time, the Prado actually used to come at the cost which the Fortuner comes today. The Prado's price point has been increased so much that it costs as much as a Land Cruiser, and the Land Cruiser costs, well, more than a house. That's why the Land Cruiser has not been successful in the Indian market and is being discontinued as well, along with the Etios as well. Yay! Finally, the Etios is gone, which is good news. But then they've got the Glanza instead, which is nothing but a rebadged Maruti Suzuki Baleno, or Maruti Suzuki with Toyota logo, as I've said in the vlog earlier. So guys, I know this vlog has been really very long because my earlier vlog of the Toyota Fortuner magically disappeared somehow, just like how the Etios has been disappearing from the roads. But you get the drift. If you like this vlog, you know what you have to do. Give it a thumbs up, that's the like button, and also subscribe to the channel. You know, the happiness when I have to say bye-bye is just something else, because it is so stressful doing a vlog in this bright light. Half the time it's getting overexposed, half the time the steering is not aligned, the steering is going somewhere else, because I think this car's gone off-road and, you know, really got messed up in that sense. Another interesting bit is the fact that the 4-wheel drive versions get 18-inch wheels, one size bigger, so that it's more comfortable off the road. And I can keep going on and on and on and on about the Toyota Fortuner, because I have like done so much research on it that I can write an encyclopedia of this vehicle. Anyways, the amount of comments which came on my recent Instagram post of the Fortuner, around 2,500, made me sit up and take notice and do this massively long vlog of this extremely popular vehicle. When I actually asked Toyota why have they actually dropped the rear locking differential, they just said that, you know, it's in the interest of saving cost and just making the car more reliable, easier to maintain, and then, you know, you don't have to spend a lot of money re-oiling the hub and whatnot. Anyways, this car obviously gets a 4-wheel drive system, and I would have gone ahead and said the grip levels are fab because we are driving without traction control, but still there's no problem whatsoever because of the massive tire size as well. But, you know, I can't really credit the Sigma 4 4-wheel drive system because we are actually driving in rear-wheel drive mode only. There are 3 modes on offer. There's 2 high, there is 4 high, and there is 4 low. In 4 low, obviously it increases the torque dramatically, meanwhile reducing the speed and making it so much easier to crawl really tough terrains. You know, the motor becomes so vocal, see? Absolutely, you know, it wakes up and it's like, चलो अभी निकलते हैं यहाँ से, पहली फुर्सत में निकल. You know, this beep 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 reminds me of my teacher in school. You used to want to go to the washroom again and again, and like you used to get scolding. It gets the same feel factor.
Scale दिखाओ.
It's full industrial, huh? एकदम full pickup truck feels, huh? The whole chassis and obviously even the engine and the gearbox also. People actually dig this.
Raw. Just like your vlogs.
And on that bombshell, it's time to end. Bye-bye. Alright, let's get going. Turning on the vehicle, and there it comes to life. It absolutely rose to life. Getting into drive mode, turning on the power mode as well, and turning off traction control. Traction control off, air conditioning off, left foot on the brake, right foot on the accelerator. Okay, this OK button needs to be pressed. And here we go. And off we go. Yeah, I kept the handbrake actually to do some wheel spin, but then I thought against it. Anyways, on the track you can see there's so much body roll on offer from this Toyota Fortuner. and there's a constant noise from the tires as well, because of course you can hear it. This is a body on frame car which is extremely heavy, not really meant for the track, but hey, why not drive it here? Every time you corner you can feel a lot of roll, but people actually like that roll because it becomes part of the whole experience of driving an SUV. This feels so much SUV. The only thing is it doesn't track, it understeers. Instead, in spite of being a rear wheel drive, it's understeering. It should oversteer, right? A rear wheel drive car should oversteer, but this one actually understeers. Braking performance is also nice actually. There's some amount of nosedive as well, and there it stops. Taking a U-turn is very cumbersome because 5.8 meters is actually the turning radius of this vehicle. Meanwhile, the ground clearance is decent at 225 mm here. I have to take so many reverse front here so that I don't actually decline the car below. Here we are. Will we actually go down a bit? No, we won't. Anyways, here we are into drive mode. Left foot on the brake, right foot on the accelerator, revving the motor. Wheel spin for the win, traction control light blinking, and they're upshifting at 4000 rpm here. Let's get onto the pedal so it holds on to a rev higher. Around the corner there's good amount of grip from the Sigma 4 system, but it's actually in two-wheel drive, rear wheel drive, but it's not having any understeer in the straight. Obviously understeer won't happen in the straight. I meant to say it's not having any oversteer on the corners, which you would expect. Downshift, drop a gear or two, and there you see the enthusiasm from the motor is mind-boggling. There's so much enthusiasm from the motor that there's a continuous, that continuously keeps happening. So I hope you guys enjoyed this extended vlog of actually taking the Fortuner to the track, and if you liked it, you know what you have to do. Give it the thumbs up. Bye bye. Oh wait, what's happening? Where are we going? OMG.